Hello, everybody. So let's have a little discussion about grounding and protection. So, for those of you who are already working within the spiritual industry or who are already on your journey expanding your spirituality, you will be very much aware, hopefully, about grounding and protection and why it is so key and important. And you may already be using specific techniques or tried lots of different types of ways of grounding and protecting. But for those of you who are beginners and who are just starting to explore your journey, some of you may, of course, be aware that there is specifics needed to be put in place to feel safe and to feel grounded. But some of you may not be aware of this, and that is okay. But there is a universal law, so say, that we need grounding and we need protection when we are connecting psychically or in a mediumistic way. However, even if we're not connecting psychically or in a mediumistic way, it is still important to practice the arts of grounding and protection because this can really benefit our day-to-day practical lives as well, and it can really help to sort out our energy, and it can really also help to reduce the amounts of energy that we feel or pick up when we're in certain environments or with certain people or from certain people, as well as energy from spirit as well. So, a few little tips regarding grounding now, and then we will talk about protection in a short while. With grounding is to connect you to Mother Earth, okay? So the whole reason for grounding would be so we don't feel like when we're doing our spiritual work that we're floating away or lightheaded or hazy. Being grounded can very much be very important because it can help us to feel a lot more sturdy on our feet within the land that we walk, but with also within our bodies and our mind as well. We all have a tendency to become ungrounded through stages in our life, depending on what's going on, depending on stresses, illnesses, things like that. So there are things that can knock us out of being grounded. So it is important to make sure that we do practice grounding techniques. I myself practice grounding every single day, and I do it every single morning. And sometimes if I feel like I need a little bit of an extra grounded boost, I will do it again. It all depends on what spiritual job I've got at hand or what task I'm doing. Whether I'm working with a lot of people or just one person, whether it's doing clearings, connecting to spirit, or just on a psychic level. No matter what, I always make sure I ground. So I will show you how to ground in a different video because we will actually do a little grounding meditation, okay? So some more information about grounding for you would be when you are grounded, after you sort of practice grounding for a period of time, you will find yourself actually becoming aware that things like arguments and drama and things like that in one's life seem to reduce. Okay, so even if you're not the type of person who is argumentative or who has drama yourself or who creates drama, you may have a sibling or a child going through something dramatic, or you may have friends around you or another member of your family who are having some sort of drama or difficulties within their life, and that can actually impact you anyway, even if you are quite a calm person and your life is going quite flowing. Okay, so it is important to make sure that we are grounded for ourselves individually because this will actually help to protect us. Now, you need to remember that grounding is not full protection. Okay, grounding is pulling your physical form and your energy form that is attached to your body to the ground, Mother Earth, and rooting yourself deep within Mother Earth, because actually it helps us to become more connected with Mother Earth and all of her goodness. And also respect Mother Earth because actually she has a big role to play within our spiritual lives. Another important reason why we would ground is because actually, along our spiritual life and when practicing spiritual techniques and starting to open up and connect and receive all our awakenings and our enlightenment, is it can help to strengthen our psychic skill set and our mediumistic skill set. So, actually, when we're grounded, we quite often find that we're receiving better spiritual results as well as better results within life in general. So, it's really important to practice grounding and to recognize when you're not grounded. And as I said, there will be a video on how to recognize when not grounded and how to do the grounding. Now, you can do grounding on its own without protection, okay? And you can do grounding on its own without going into a meditation. So some meditations don't include grounding, okay? So don't get confused if you're a beginner and you're doing meditations and you've been told to ground and they don't include grounding, because some meditations do not include it, because grounding is not actually a meditation. Grounding is a practice that we do, okay? But you can tag it onto the beginning of a meditation or even the end of a meditation, okay? So it's important to make sure that if you feel like you need to do grounding before you go into a particular meditation and it doesn't include grounding within that meditation, it's important that you prepare yourself and do your grounding beforehand. Now, as I said, you can do grounding without protection, okay? But you need to be aware that being grounded doesn't give you full protection. It may make you feel better and calmer, but actually it doesn't act as a full protection. So you need to assess what spiritual task you're going to do as to what you feel you need. And if you feel like you need extra protection, then you will need to cool that down and do the steps or the practices that you've been given to do protection, okay? And there will be a separate video for techniques on protection, okay? But please do watch out for the next space where we do speak shortly about protection. Now, some of you may not actually enjoy doing grounding. Some of you may find it difficult to do grounding. Some of you may not be very visual, so you may find it hard to do it. To imagine roots and to imagine what you're being guided to do within the grounding. But what I'm inclined to say to you is please do not worry about that, because even if you don't visually see or feel anything, just the thoughts of it will actually help you to become grounded, and it will become stronger the more you practice. On to protection now, okay? So as I said, protection and grounding are two separate things. Grounding can help us to feel more protected, but it does not act as a full protection. So as I explained earlier, it will be important to assess why we feel we need protection and what it is we're about to do and what type of protection we need. Because depending on different types of tasks, spiritual tasks that are upon us or that we're working on, or depending on what we're going through in our current situations in life, will depend on what type of protection we choose to do and how much of it we need. So as I said, you can actually do a form of protection every day if you like with the grounding. You can do it, you can tag it on to the grounding. That's what I tend to do. I do my grounding first and then I make sure I'm protected. So it's important, as I said, to assess your energy before you do your protection, because if you feel like there's something hanging around or you feel like there's something within you, you don't want to put a super hard protection around you and keep this energy that doesn't feel good within you and not being able to get out. So there are really important parts of protection which enables you to still release stuff out of your protection field, but block anything coming in that does not serve you or does not give you the positive energy that you need. So as I said, there are different techniques for protection. Some include like pulling down the white light. Some would be wrapping beautiful bubbles around yourself. Some would be using halos or actual putting yourself yourself in an energy box with an energy field. There's all different types. I've created a lot of my own protective techniques, and what you will find is when you start to follow the guidance of the protection, you will find that even if you listen to the same one each time, you will find that actually you may start to see or feel that different stuff is coming in. And again, as I said, it's all according to where you're at on your spiritual journey and what type of protection you're needing. So even if you practice the same one for, say, like 6 months, you may find that it might start changing as you do it. Or you may get these visuals or patterns or words or messages in whilst you do the protection, and that is completely normal. As with grounding, you may see other stuff other than just what you're being guided to do. Please make sure you watch the protection video where I give you a protection technique, and I go through some different types of techniques that you can try. And throughout the coming months, I will be posting more videos next to each masterclass with regards to different types of protection techniques that you can try. I don't want to overload you right at the start, so please make sure you stick with it and make sure you watch every month's module, because you will actually be receiving lots of different types of techniques, and this is all going to help you to build upon opening yourself up more, but becoming more safe and more protected and more grounded. And another thing, when you are again more protected, again it will help our spiritual well-being, and it will also help our physical form and our practical day-to-day life. When you are protected, you can feel your ancestors, your loved ones, your spirit guides come in around you, and you can actually call them in to give you protection. Some of you may not feel that, and that's fine, that's absolutely normal. But just so you know, doing your protection techniques, everyone can do them, whether you're working spiritually within the industry and you're highly into your spirituality already, or whether you're a beginner. It's absolutely fine. Even people who don't consider themselves spiritual or don't believe in this type of thing can actually do protective techniques. Okay, so it's really, really all down to you and how much you want to benefit yourself spiritually and how much you want to learn. I can tell you a little example now of myself. As some of you know, I have been able to see spirit since I was 4 years old, and I have been brought up within a very highly spiritual family. So it was only natural that I would end up becoming very, very spiritually aware. However, I am the only working psychic medium within my family. The other family members of mine are psychic, and but they don't work within the industry. Some of them are healers, some of them are animal communicators. We all in our family have different abilities, okay? Likewise with you guys and your family and your ancestors. But what I found as I was growing up is, as I came into sort of my early 20s, I found myself becoming more and more scared of my spiritual ability. And this is because I felt that I knew stuff about people, and it felt like it wasn't my right to know this stuff about people. Okay, I would see negative things and I would feel negative things. I would then be in fear and get really worried that bad things were going to happen to my friends and my family, or even just people who I'd just met. It became very, very draining for me to see this. So I was overlooking all of the positive sort of spirituality aspects that I held, because it felt like the negative was taking over. So it didn't help that I was drinking quite a lot, and I also did used to take drugs as well. Okay, so when I was doing this, I was leaving myself wide open. So I was fully ungrounded and I was fully unprotected, creating more and more holes and gaps within my auric field. I became addicted to cocaine, and I ended up having a really, really bad patch for about 3 years within my life, where it got worse and worse and I felt more and more drained. But what happened was actually the spirits and the energy only became stronger. And as I said, there was positive spirit and positive energy around, but because I was in such a bad place in my own life, it actually started to take over in a bad way. And I became scared and fearful. Things felt dark, okay? I felt darker energies and darker spirits, and I also had some dark experiences, very, very scary experiences, which I have actually wrote about in a story, and I am currently writing more about within my next book. So please do make sure you check that out. But I will be leaving more little videos about experiences and aspects of my spirituality and certain positive and negative things that happened to me. But going back to the protection, I wasn't practicing grounding or protection. And my mum used to say to me, you must ground yourself, you must protect yourself. And I used to think, yeah, you're just hounding on at me. I find it boring, blah, blah, blah. In my early 20s, thinking I knew everything, that type of thing. Okay. So I didn't practice it very often. So my mum would quite often end up putting the protection over me. I now know, as a 33-year-old woman and a lot more mature and further along within my spiritual journey, that actually what I did within my life back then, I had to experience it for some reason, because it was going to teach me a lot of important lessons about my future, but also about who I was and my life and what my soul mission and purpose was. So as I said, even though I was very spiritual and I knew this, I wasn't working within the industry, okay? I've only actually been running my business for the last 4.5 years. Before that, I was just doing it as a hobby. But back in my 20s, when I was doing silly things and on self-destruct mode, I was not working or doing it as a hobby. If anything, I saw it as an issue for me. I didn't want it because of the scared and the fearful thoughts that I would feel. So what I found was I got so fed up with this and so drained by what was going on with me spiritually that I couldn't sleep. I was being woken up in the night. I was being interrupted constantly. And as I said, it was positive and negative, but I just, I didn't know how to make them stop or how to get them away from me, if that makes sense. So I'm telling you this so you guys know that I can relate to my students when they tell me, I don't know how to stop it, I don't know what this is, this scares me, okay? Because I can fully relate with this. And this is why it's so important to learn grounding and protection. And I learned the hard way because I did have some very, very crazy experiences. But if you guys have learned the hard way too, that will be because that has supposed to be part of your journey. And if you haven't learned the hard way, but you still, feel drawn to obviously learn, then that's fine. It just means that maybe you wasn't supposed to experience some of the more sort of crazy spiritual things that can go on. Okay. So it's important to take responsibility of our well-being, of our spiritual energy, of our physical form. And that is why in the introductory spiritual hygiene video, I mentioned about being aware of drinking. But also you have to be aware of any other types of drugs as well, okay? Because these things can heighten our spiritual senses, but it can also drop our energy levels and create gaps and holes, so things can get in more easily. Okay, I have lots of videos coming up regarding energy attachments, spirit attachments, removal, all of that type of thing. So please do make sure you stick around for the next few months so you can get the benefit of those videos as well. So eventually, during this really difficult, dark time in my life, my mum decided to send me off to a lady who had a similar experience to me when she was younger. She was so psychic when she was younger that she would literally walk past people in the street and see their deaths, see their births, and see all types of things that were going to happen to them. And it used to impact her in so many ways. And I was experiencing similar things, just like some of you guys may experience similar things, okay? So I went off to this lovely lady who now lives in Australia, and she did a really good clearing, energy clearing on me, and she got my energy back to how my energy was supposed to be at that time in my life. Okay, now at that time I didn't really know my energy because I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I wanted to do or who I wanted to be. I was very lost in life. But all I do know is that when I had this energy clearing, I felt so much clearer and freer. I felt more safe already. Okay, and then she taught me the specific grounding and protection techniques. And then she taught me how to understand how these signs and senses and feelings and sensations and psychism and mediumistic abilities were working within my own self, and how to control and channel and block things. Because I was like, I don't want this. I still held fear. I was like, I don't want this. I just want to be a photographer. That's what I was. So even though I was being told by various psychics at that stage that I was going to become a medium, I was like, no, 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 I'm not. I want to be a photographer and I just want to block all of this. So you guys may have had a similar experience where you feel like you want to block it or you feel like you want to shut it down. And don't worry, I relate to that. And a lot of people go through that, okay? But you're here for a reason. So maybe it's the time to unblock it, but do it in the right way. And I'm going to help you to unblock it and keep you protected in the right way, because I understand through my own experiences how seriously important it is to do our grounding and our protection. So after that lovely clearing, I actually started to do the proper grounding and protection, and I started to realize years and years later that my mum was right. I had to do my grounding, I had to do my protection, and now it is the number one top dollar thing on my list to do for my spiritual well-being. And when you guys start to understand that and realize that for yourself, and you start to reap the benefits energetically, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, you will understand too, and you will want to keep doing it. It's almost like when you go on a diet and you notice that you lose weight, and then you think, oh gosh, like this is really working and I feel really good. I want to carry on having this diet, having this healthy diet. Okay, so that's a little bit of reassurance for you, but also to stress just how important it really is. If you have any questions at all, please do make sure you write them down ready for the live Q&A sessions. And I will be there ready to hand to answer whatever questions you may have. So that's it for the grounding and protection introduction video. Okay, please make sure you check out the individual videos for protection and grounding where I actually guide you into it, and start to practice those as much as you like. Make sure you check them out below this video. Bye.